Hi everybody, I just want to talk about something that is really near and dear to my heart, and I'm just going to out with it. I am an anxiety sufferer. I think that it is a huge problem in today's society with all the bombardment of social media and things like online dating where everyone's always has FOMO, fear of missing out, like swiping for the next best person. And me as a single mother, I get anxiety just over the fact that I just worry about all these what ifs, about what's going to happen to my kids, what's going to happen to me. I didn't become a single mother under good circumstances, and I do feel there's sort of a lot of judgment out there for single mothers and actually for anxiety sufferers in general. And I'm just going to talk about like some of the things about anxiety that I learned, and also some of the things that helped me, as well as what you can tell loved ones, or if you're in the dating world, how you can sort of bring it up to kind of gauge if someone's a good potential match for you. Because the whole point of this video is not to play the victim, but it is to sort of give compassion to yourself, because this is the number one thing that anxiety sufferers don't do. They don't give themselves compassion about everything. They beat themselves up over every possible worst case scenario. Usually it's warranted because it stems from traumatic events or just behaving anxiously, all the time, and it's warranted. But the problem is it sets off this chain reaction in your brain. Part of the reptilian brain, your amygdala goes off, and it's like your brain's trying to help you, it's trying to protect you. Like many other people, I didn't know I had anxiety. I thought that I was dying. I would get dizzy, my heart would start to palpitate, I would get rolling chest pain, I would feel like I was gonna faint, and then it's like a cycle. So fear, symptoms, for me, bodily sensations. Now I realize some of y'all don't get symptoms at all, and that's the type of anxiety that I personally deal with. I deal with a variance of health anxiety. Like, I wouldn't say I go around thinking that I have like all sorts of illnesses, but the problem is that stress and anxiety actually manifest in the body as symptoms. So sometimes you can actually make yourself pretty ill. And it's just a vicious cycle, because once the symptoms go off, you start to worry, and it makes the symptoms worse. And something like going on social media can even trigger you, because it's like your subconscious mind is just playing this just non-stop. It's like a tape. It's just ruminating and ruminating. And I really want those of you that are suffering from anxiety, I really want to give you a hug, because I know how freaking hard it is. It's ridiculously hard. But the key to recovery that I'm still doing is, I believe, is a mixture of things like cognitive behavioral therapy and, dealing with, kind of like dealing with your subconscious mind. I know that this is kind of a tricky subject, and I'm not saying people don't need medicine. I know there's a place for it. I personally chose to not go that route, but I respect everyone's path. I just think that if you don't deal with your shit, what's gonna happen is you may end up relying on something. That's not the case for everyone. So I'm not gonna go there because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, but I mean, I'm just trying to tell you that part of the reason you feel this way is almost not your fault, because it's how society is. Like, there's all this subliminal, like, Instagram stuff. I mean, how many times have you looked at your friends' photos and thought they don't even look like that? They're filtering their photos, they're editing their photos. So just imagine someone you admire out there and you think they're just so awesome, and that's great because we want to spread positive energy, but maybe that photo isn't even them. And when you get into the online dating world, there's all these movements going on where, women are bashing men, men are bashing women. I've seen stuff just completely annihilating single mothers, and that's another video, because that's bullshit. Single mothers are some of the hardest hit people in society. They're some of the most oppressed people in society. I should know. And not every single mom is just on dating sites and out there just to, like, screw guys over. So all that bullshit that's being spread here on YouTube is just, I think it's ridiculous. Because if a man loves a woman and he thinks she's beautiful and he wants to be with her and she just happens to be a mom, so what? We're getting brainwashed by all these movements and we're not thinking like back to basics. If you look at the way our body works, our brain is extremely neuroplastic, which means we can learn behaviors and we can get subconscious triggers that actually set off pain signals. I'm not saying it's not real. When you have a panic attack, that crap is real. The problem is when you start identifying wholly with anxiety and saying, I have anxiety, I'm just anxious, and you start telling all your friends, you start asking about all your symptoms, did you go through this, did you go through that? Honestly, that's not going to help you heal. Like, you can commiserate with people, but you got to like say, hey, let's be positive now. And the law of attraction deals a lot with that, about positivity. And if I were to give you one bit of advice for dealing with anxiety, is to look into the Abraham Hicks books, audio books. There's a lot on YouTube, a lot of talks. They're funny, they're lighthearted, and it's really about getting back to basics. And I really love the Anxiety Guy YouTube channel. He has helped me immensely, so I want to give a shout out to him. If it wasn't for the Anxiety Guy and his like wealth of videos, I probably wouldn't have known what the hell was going on when I had a bout of depersonalization. So the first step is realizing that it is anxiety and kind of like surrendering and saying, you know what, I am suffering from this. But I know what it is, and I'm gonna not fight it, because that kind of puts you in a defensive. You really should just get to a place where you're like, okay, for me, anxiety starts this way. Everyone's so different, so I'm not gonna go there. For me, I start to feel like I'm on a boat rocking. I start having trouble breathing, and someone sitting right next to me may not even know. So it looks different for everybody. And I do think that if you're in a dating situation like I am, or you're trying to better yourself through self-help, the first thing you need to give yourself is compassion and forgive yourself. A lot of us that have had this issue, something happened at some point. I mean, that's just how we dealt with trauma. And for me, it was like consecutive stuff over years and years and years. And I'm a Capricorn, so everybody thinks I have all my shit together and I have everything all figured out, and it's flattering, but I really just want a hug, and nobody's giving me a hug. I mean, people watch me, I don't have a car, unfortunately. My car died, and I have 2 small kids, so I walk with groceries in a very unsafe neighborhood, and I have friends that drive by me while I'm dropping groceries everywhere. So don't rely on other people for your happiness. But when you're letting someone in, if you're trying to be dating, if you're trying to get into new friends, they need to understand what you're going through. This isn't about like ruminating and talking about it over and over. You need a new group if people aren't offering to help. I don't know what else to say. That's one of the first things. Another thing is, don't join forums that are symptom comparing and all this stuff, because the truth of the matter is most of us are going to run into health problems in our life, and anxiety is a part of that. And then you could get diagnosed with something, but you're going to have to unfortunately deal with it, and you want to have the most positive mindset possible about the situation. And if you're obsessing over symptoms or obsessing over stuff, or worst case scenario stuff, your energy is not in the right place, you're not in alignment. And as I'm talking to you, sorry, my phone is giving me the low battery signal. As I'm talking to you, I am extremely anxious. I'm on edge. I'm facing a huge ass setback. We're talking huge. I was doing great. I was drinking green juices. I was reading my law of attraction books. I started this YouTube channel. My first video was actually during the setback. The setback's actually pretty long. So if I really think about it in my personal story, just to kind of like be relatable, my whole life I was tense. I was behaving anxiously. I had scoliosis, so I was always hunched over. I was afraid of what everyone would think of me in gym class. I let every single bully get to me, every single C or below on a report card, everything. I just beat myself up over and over and over and over again. I had nightmares so bad I would feel it if someone scratched me in the nightmare for like a year when I was 7. You know, like I I've behaved like this my whole life, and it didn't manifest until I was in the parking lot of a Starbucks with my 2 kids with my old car, and it had a cracked manifold, and it started to carbon monoxide poison us. And I completely lost my shit. I knew I was gonna faint, and I somehow superwomaned out of the car, got help in the drive-thru, and got my kids out of the car. And that just set off panic attacks, you know? But I had it coming because I've been behaving like this for years. I have all the justifications in the world. But don't be fooled. I don't want this issue. So I'm actively working on it. So I want to encourage you guys out there, especially in the community of dating and single moms and just everybody, anybody who's watching this. Own it. Own your damn anxiety, but stop identifying with it. Stop it. That does not mean you're not going to have setbacks. In fact, because of how the amygdala works, it's going to try to protect you, and you might have a subconscious trigger. Like for me, I got to a point where the shower was triggering me. Like, what the hell is that? Like, and I think it's because I had a dizzy spell in the shower, and vertigo was one of my major anxiety symptoms. So, you know, and now that I'm actually having some real actual health issues, I can't draw the line between that and the anxiety anymore. And you don't want to be in that place. You want to be able to face. Louise Hay talks about it in her book You Can Heal Your Life. When she got cancer, she was really upset at first, but I mean, she was in a place where she was in alignment. And Wayne Dyer talks about this too. She was in a place where she was in alignment. So after she got over her initial, this is bullshit, I'm so scared, I mean, like, she was able to deal with it better. Whereas, I gotta be honest, if some of the stuff that's happening to me right now, I'm not dealing with it that well. But everyone looking at me thinks I have all my shit together. There's not enough support in society for single moms that, like, I was a stay-at-home mom. So can you imagine how people judge? But I had to say, you know what, screw their judgments. I don't get an effing break, ever. Like, I do without, I eat scraps sometimes. Like, I'm doing what I'm doing to keep my family safe and healthy after a traumatic event. Those of you that know me know that. But in the dating world, I've been so judged. And you know what I do? I know I'm having anxiety attacks. I know I'm going through setbacks. And I'm still improving. I'm still pushing forward because I know that my message is going to help people out there. I'm still pushing forward, but that does not mean that I'm not having setbacks, because what happens is your subconscious has been doing some stuff for a really long time. So when you try to something new, for me, when I try something new, like I would try online dating, or I would, you know, even move my furniture, it would set off this wave of panic. And it's because the brain is going to reject change at first, but the more you show it, okay, this is okay, the more you walk into that grocery store even though you don't want to, and stay a little longer each time, whatever your particular issue is. Anxiety is crazy because it's like, it manifests different in everybody, but you have to kind of like, I know it sounds trite, but you have to kind of show it who's boss. And specifically as it relates to my life as a, I'm a fairly conscious person. Like, I'm spiritual. I'm a mom of 2 small kids under 5. And I really want you guys that are suffering with anxiety, especially if you have friendships, if you're married, if you're dating, you have to be respected so that you can heal. It's not on that other person to heal you. You can't expect that. That's not fair. However, if they're going to be in your life, it is reasonable that they are compassionate towards you. Maybe even nudge you in the right direction. Hey, why don't you go watch that Abraham Hicks video? Why don't you go check out the Anxiety Guy? Why don't you read that book? You know, I don't have this, but, you know, maybe I'll watch the kids for you so you can have your coffee.